Welcome to Bucket List Careers, episode 182. I'm Krista Laurie. Thanks so much for joining me. Today in studio, we have Margaret Egiziaco. She's founder and lead fitness instructor at Mommy and Me with Margaret, a private in-home studio in Purchase, New York, offering personalized mom-only and Mommy and Me private fitness sessions. I love that. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, Krista.
Amazing. You're a neighbor. You're doing something you didn't do before. You wouldn't be on the show if you hadn't pivoted.
Yep.
And we'll unpack your journey in that space. But let's start with the why. Why this business venture, or the who you want to serve, because I know this really fuels you.
So I have 3 little kids, 3, 6, and 9. And as a mom, I am very familiar with, although it's a blessing, we all know it's a blessing, the
I
struggles.
love the laugh.
Yeah, the struggles that come with motherhood.
Sure.
And I think after having my first child in particular, it really kind of hit me like a ton of bricks that your lifestyle's changed, your body's changed. And you want to get back to your identity a little bit, you know, a part of yourself that maybe lost a little bit because you put things on the back burner and you prioritize life. So for me, this business is just very, hits home.
Yeah.
You know, I know what it's like to not have time for yourself, to be struggling to get a workout in, to want to feel good about yourself.
Yeah, you've said the focus of all of your sessions is on mom.
Yep. Because Mommy and Me Fitness, sometimes you'll think you're both doing the exercises together, the kids exercising. In my class, actually, the mom is the only one exercising. Mm-hmm. What I do when there's a session when the kids are present is, let's say the mom's in a booty bridge, right? You're on the floor, toy car where they roll the car down the mom's legs. So the kid's actually not exercising. They're performing activities related to the mom's exercise. Yeah. If we're doing, a hammer to a shoulder press, then I have them sing head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Yeah. So the mom's getting a full regular workout, but the kid's thinking, this is playtime and I'm spending time with my mom. This is awesome. So everybody leaves happy, feeling refreshed, and it's really a true win-win.
I mean, I will say I have a 23-year-old, 19 and 17, and nothing like this existed when I was just starting out. So there's a white space that you're definitely filling. Yeah. But before we dig in more into, how you're serving the community and moms, let's unpack how you got there. Because you didn't start out in this space, and I know that you worked in public service. Yeah. Also rewarding. Yeah. So let's just dial it back and walk us through, please.
Sure. So I worked for both Westchester County and New York State in grant program management. And in my time working for the county, I worked for the Department of Environmental Facilities, and I wrote state and private grants for the recycling office, actually.
Okay.
And I left that position to take a role with New York State in an agency called the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. Mm-hmm. Really interesting because it was set up after Superstorm Sandy. Mm-hmm. And it had 4 divisions, basically. It was aimed at providing federal grant funding to communities, infrastructure, homeowners, and small businesses that were devastated by Sandy.
Mm. So you already had some connection to small business before you became an entrepreneur.
And my husband's owned a small business for quite a while.
Okay.
So I definitely, any spouses of business owners or business owners themselves certainly know the struggles, the grind.
And you have a chemistry degree?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Personally, to me, I have the other side of the brain. And did you always want to do this kind of work for a reason? And then let's talk about the pivot.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I think I really got my first job with the county. That's not my first job ever, but the previous position, because it was environmental facilities. I did have that science background. Yeah. And then that kind of prepared me for my next role with GOSER. It's called the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. Yeah. And I love that position. I have to tell you, I'll never forget when I went in for my interview, it was almost intimidating because it was so fast-paced. It wasn't what you think of when you think of a typical government agency. Yeah. It felt like a startup because it was. They just created it after Sandy.
Right.
And it was fast-paced because there's urgency to get these businesses their grant funding. So I remember being there at the interview thinking to myself, Margaret, did you bite off more than you could chew with this one?
Because you had big operating budgets. I think it was like $90 million?
Yeah, so for
at least that portion of it.
That's correct. Yeah, we ended up giving out $50 million to about 1,000 small businesses in need, and our operating budget was quite a bit. It was $90 million. And it was in that role that actually I got promoted to director of the program while I was pregnant. And that really impacted me. I think being in my, I was about 30 years old, being promoted while I was pregnant by leadership that was largely female, and it felt really empowering.
Yay.
Yeah. I had great bosses. I really had great bosses, and it impacted me for sure. But it was during that job I decided that I was going to go into fitness.
And okay, so let's talk about the pivot, because we always want to get to that part. And if there was an aha moment, or if there wasn't, I know you told me there have been two distinct phases in your evolution. A preparation phase and an execution phase. So can you expand on that for us?
Yeah, sure. So during my time with the state is when I decided I was going to go into fitness. And I just had my first daughter. I gained 50 pounds like many of us.
Oh, hi, same. I mean, I'm 5'7", so I will admit it wasn't that bad. But yeah, I mean,
it happens. And I ended up losing it, the whole story that a lot of us can kind of relate to. But I said to myself, I'm going to do this. I need to earn my certifications. I have to get experience. So I was studying flashcards on the Metro North and the subway ride because I was living at Mount Kisco at the time. And the position was on Beaver Street. If anyone knows the city, that's past Wall Street. I mean, it's the tip of Manhattan.
Oh, we have Mount Kisco listeners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was.
So you were really.
I was really studying.
Burning midnight oil on your commute. Okay.
With a newborn, an infant at home. So getting my ducks in a row. So I ended up becoming first a cycling instructor, then a certified group fitness instructor. I had a few jobs, doing that, which I loved.
How long does that take, by the way, if anyone's listening and is interested in that?
I have to tell you, the group fitness instructor certification, I did mine through ACE. There's a few different organizations. I think, don't quote me on this, they say about 3 months. It took me 6 months because I was working full time. Yeah. I had a baby at home. And like I said, I was studying on the subway and things like that. So it took me 6 months for that. I have a bunch of certifications. I have a STAT Pilates, a mat Pilates instructor. I'm also certified in that. That took me the longest. Okay. It took me about a year. So I have a bunch of different certs, but ultimately...
you wanted to be prepared.
Yeah, and then I worked in fitness part-time. Like I was working, and I would work also, teach a few classes. And then I decided to leave the work with the state, and then I was home a little while. And then, of course, 2020, we all know what happened.
The COVID pandemic pivot, which is literally, I think, like 70% of my guests, because it's a fork in the road. Okay, so how did that change things for you?
That's exactly right. So that's when I was already a fitness instructor. I was teaching Zoom classes. I was working at the Sawmill Club in Mount Kisco, loving it, awesome people there. But then COVID hit, and I was just doing the Zoom. And I had a baby and a toddler at the time. And I think she was 4, was just all over me when I was trying to get a workout in. Of course, wants to play with mom. I couldn't get a real workout in. Yeah. And a light bulb went off, and I said, Margaret, you're an expert. You can create a class that incorporates the child, but you're getting your regular workout in. So that's what I did. We did it on Zoom. Years later, I was going to people's homes. I worked at the library teaching the class. And then ultimately, my biggest career change is my youngest just started school this year, and I created my in-home studio.
So it is in your home?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Did you have the space for it? Did you have to build out? And why did you decide to do it in-home versus?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's overhead, obviously, with rental or leasing. But tell me all about those thoughts.
So we have, I guess, like an in-law suite or a guest suite. It's on the side of our house. It has a separate entrance, a separate deck, actually, separate parking, separate bathrooms. So you're never in my living space. And originally, when we built, my husband's in construction. When we built the house, the idea was for when our parents get older, they could live with us. That was really why we built that section. Perfect. So it was our guest suite, essentially. And like I said, when my son started school this year, I felt I had the bandwidth to do it. So we did nothing crazy, but just, some paint, and we installed the mirrors, wallpaper, we have a closet with all the equipment, and we use soft weights, by the way, because when the kids are present, I do many sessions without kids, but when they are present, I make sure that we have like soft kind of dumbbells.
Yeah,
just
and
for
how
safety.
many people are in the classes generally?
So because the space is not very large, 1 to 4.
Okay.
4 moms with their kids or without their kids. I've been getting a lot of moms with older kids who are in school coming with their girlfriends as like girlfriend time. Yeah. So we did that renovation. I had the grand opening just this past October. So we're pretty new.
Oh, I love it. I love talking to people in their infancy because it's exciting. You, I'm assuming, have somewhat of a roadmap for the next year, the next couple of years, but you're learning as you go.
Totally.
So tell me about your obstacles to get here, to launching, because I have a lot of people who haven't taken that plunge yet. Yeah. And, I think that it has a lot to do with your mindset.
Yeah.
I know you said something about comfort, that you had to push yourself out of your comfort zone, which a lot of us do. So let's talk about that.
I kind of pride myself in doing that. I have to be honest that I do a lot of things that are uncomfortable for me, but I do them anyway.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, give me an example of that.
Right now.
Not the first person to say that. Even though you seem so poised and together, this is a first for you.
Yeah, I did a podcast a few months ago, which was a really great experience also.
Yeah.
So
was it different? Was it longer?
It was a little bit longer, but you both had such welcoming, nice rapport. You're both so easy to talk to. So
let's plug her then. What's her show?
It's the Alexa Show. That's so kind of you. She's really a nice person, Alexa Servidito, and she's actually a therapist.
Women supporting women.
Yes,
baby.
Ask Alexa Therapy on Instagram.
Okay, and what was it about?
She has a new segment called Mom Moments.
Okay, cool.
Where she interviews moms who, talk about their lives. So she really warmed me up to it, and you both were great.
Oh, thank you. So pushing yourself out, being uncomfortable and allowing yourself to be there. And you had said to me that having the chemistry degree was something that actually held you back because you felt like you were being judged by people. Like, Absolutely. Is this not enough for you, quote unquote?
Yeah, I think everyone expected me to, become a scientist, or I was pre-med. That's why I was really the chemistry degree.
Those expectations.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
It's tough. And people are looking at you, oh, well, you have this degree. And then I got my MBA after at Iona. And you're not in your field. I'm using the MBA certainly, but I'm not using the chemistry necessarily.
Right.
So I think you just have to not care what people think. Right.
It's about not being necessarily on a linear path. Do you believe? Do you feel differently than you did when you were in those roles that, yes, they aligned with your studies and your training, but do you feel differently?
I have to tell you, I feel I was born to do this job.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
When my favorite part, I also work the Rye YMCA, whether I'm at the Y teaching a class or at my in-home studio teaching a private session, the moms, they are starting to get back to themselves. Their glow is returning. Yeah. They're feeling good about themselves. I was born to do this job, and I would do it for free. I always joke, don't tell my bosses that, but
I believe you.
Yeah.
So we're getting to that point where we wrap with the takeaways. Let's talk about advice for people on just finding something that is more, aligned with your professional purpose, if you believe that.
Yeah.
How do you get there? What would you say are your nuggets of wisdom based on what you've lived through?
I have had different kind of jobs. My biggest chunk was definitely that grant program management. Yeah. And then fitness, of course. But I can tell you, I loved my grant program management positions. I loved those jobs. But I know I'm made for fitness, for being an instructor. I know that I was born to do this. And to me, once I started doing it, it was clear. And I think if you ask people who take my sessions and my classes, they would say it's obvious. I just love it.
So would you say just try it, just take the leap?
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen? Really, you embarrass yourself? Who cares? I've been embarrassed. I was telling someone the other day.
Move on.
Yeah, move on. I walked out of the bathroom once at a movie theater and my dress was tucked in my underwear. I was embarrassing. But life goes on, What are you going to do?
No, having that confidence to do it.
Yeah.
I love it. So let's talk about where to send people. And now that you're comfortable enough to actually plug yourself, that was another thing you said took a little time to be able to self-promote. But of course you need to get the word out about your business. And I want more people to know about what you're offering. So where are the best places for people to find out more, to sign up?
Thanks for asking. Definitely at Mommy and Me with Margaret on Instagram. Okay. And my website, mommyandmewithmargaret.com.
Okay.
And like I said...
Can people DM you?
Yeah, they can DM me. I would be so happy to talk to anybody that has questions. There's no commitment. So if you want to come take a session with a girlfriend, a couple of friends, up to 4 total, with or with kids. Yeah. And like I said, I'm getting a lot of moms coming without kids, and they come either in the evening and go out to dinner, or they come like on a Sunday at 11, they go out to brunch.
Make it an experience.
Yeah.
And you can do a trial.
You can come, for
one class. It's not like you have to sign up for a membership. Okay.
Nope, just, it's very, I want to say informal, but it's easy.
I love it.
Yeah.
Margaret, thank you so much for taking the time. I really enjoyed this conversation.
I really appreciate you having me, especially as a new business, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. And thanks so much for being with me. Again, I'm Krista Laurie. This is Bucket List Careers. Follow me on social media at Bucket List Careers, or DM me, email me, Krista at bucketlistcareerspodcast.com. Until the next episode, be well.